Hey everyone. So in this video, we're going to talk a little bit more about the looping capabilities of Wwise. So I'm going to bring in a new phrase into the session that we've been working with. And this phrase is a little bit different. I have a timpani roll at the front, which then lands on a timpani hit and then plays an ostinato through the rest of the clip. So let's quickly take a listen to that. I'm going to go ahead and go to the general settings, and I'm going to set up my tempo here so I can snap my markers to bars and beats. So I'll go ahead and change my tempo to 145. This is at 5/4. And how am I going to set up these markers? Remember that looping, segments don't loop on their own. We have to create a playlist. So let's create that playlist and then add this in so we can hear it. And then we'll start adjusting these two markers, the green one and the red one, so that it plays correctly. So I'm going to create a new parent playlist, and I'll call this loop practice. 2 steps in creating a playlist. First, I have to create the hierarchy, the playlist here. In fact, I should call this a playlist instead of loop practice playlist, just so that we know what it is. Where this is a segment, so I'll rename this as well, just so that it's very easy to kind of see. This is our segment. And so we're back up here. Once we create the playlist, we do have to add something to the music playlist here. So we'll add this in, we create it in the hierarchy, and then we add it. Then I'm just going to loop it infinitely. And let's see what that sounds like. So clearly we have to set up the reverb tail at the end. So let's do that. Another thing too, when I created this playlist, it kind of changed our tempo. So I'm just gonna go back up here into 145 in 5/4. When I go back to the playlist here, I'm gonna set the reverb tail marker, which is also, it's called the exit cue, not reverb tail marker, but that's essentially what it is. So let's listen to it now when I play it back, now that I've set the reverb tail. Fourth bar, and then, so it starts a little bit earlier on the tail, but what's interesting is it kind of, this now is the start when it kind of loops back around. What we can do, since we have kind of a pickup note here, we can move the green marker to where the downbeat is. So in order to do that, I have to hold the control key, and then I set it up like that. So that's where the downbeat is. So that is bar 1. So now, if I save this and play it again, in fact, I may do this just so that we can kind of see how they overlap on top of one another. All right, so now if we play it, we're going to hear intro, downbeat. But what's going to be interesting, listen to what happens at the end of the loop. Right? It's now embedded into the loop, and it ignores that in terms of the loop itself. It kind of adds it to the beginning, as it should, as a, intro, as a pickup into the downbeat. So looking at it again, this is where the downbeat is, and this will play right here at the end before it loops back around. So not only is this being played here, but this is being played here when it loops. So these can be useful for doing pickup notes or fills into downbeats and still keeping it as part of the loop. So all of that is nice and good. Now we also can do some other fancier things too. So if I take my old loop which had the horn in it, I'm going to go ahead and copy that. That was from before and it is the suspense. So I'll go ahead and copy that and then paste it into, actually I'll take this here. So this is the segment and I'm going to copy that segment into this loop practice. And I'm going to kind of add this in between, right? So just to play this so that you know what it sounds like. It starts with the horn, okay? So essentially what I'll do is play the timpani into that first one, then I'll play it again, then I will play the phrase with the horn, and you'll be able to hear how that all works together. So when I play it, timpani roll, downbeat. We'll also hear timpani roll downbeat. So this one is going to reverb tail out, and then downbeat, but we won't hear it, the timpani, when it goes into this. We'll just hear reverb tail into horn. So it allows quite a bit of flexibility in terms of adding pickup notes for how this plays. Whenever I play this phrase here, it's going to play the timpani roll as a precursor into it. So let me do it one more time by placing that phrase at the end. So after the horn, what's going to happen is at the end of the horn, it's going to start this phrase early so it can put that timpani roll in to match the downbeat. So if I play it again, here we go. Okay, so that's part of that segment that we made. This new segment, no timpani roll, just starts playing, but the one that's upcoming has the timpani roll. So at the end of this phrase, it's going to play the timpani roll into the downbeat and play the ostinato some more. So again, these are some additional techniques that we can really utilize in our pieces to make more complex loops, so that we have the exit cue, which is your reverb tail region, and then you have what's called the pre-entry. This is what that region is called, the entry cue. So that entry cue is kind of what happens before it actually synchronizes to the downbeat. So it's really helpful with using pickup notes, anticipations to a downbeat. So if you have an anticipated chord that goes into the downbeat, it's useful for those. Drum fills into the downbeat, any of that, super useful.